Hello, good evening everybody. Welcome back to the Crusade Attorney Chronicles. Probably didn't say that right. Let's keep going into the juicy final case of the first game. Episode 5, The Adventure of the Unspeakable Story. Let's go. Hound of the Baskervilles, huh? That's what we're going with? Alright.
It's coming! Sholmes's cry pierced through the thick wall of fog around us. Wisps of vapor flowed over the pistol as I cocked it, and I waited, breathlessly, in the stillness. The silence lasted for what seemed an eternity, until, at last, it appeared. From the shadows of the cloud, an enormous beast sprang out upon us. A hound it was, but not such a hound as any mortal has ever seen. Its eyes glowed with a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was outlined in white-hot flames. Its rumbling pant and hideous howl, so terrified was I that I began to tremble with fear. "Look well, Wilson," Sholmes declared, gazing upon the mystical beast. "For this is the diabolical hound of the Baskervilles."
Our first 2 months in London passed by in a flash. In the disconcerting courtroom experience we were first thrown into on the day we arrived in the country, and in Soseki-san's terrible ordeal that had followed closely behind, we had emerged victorious. However, there then came an abrupt end to our opportunities to appear in court, which was hardly surprising, of course, since I was nothing more than an amateur, an unknown student of law from a faraway land. So life in our little office was very quiet. That is, until it was shattered one day by that fateful telegram. Naruhodo's legal consultancy. That's nice. That morning, I was woken by the unreserved knocking on the door by the telegram boy. But after he'd gone, Susato-san's behavior became very obviously strange. Susato-san? Yes! Is it time to leave for court already? Let me see. What case is it today? I don't think I'm scheduled to defend anyone at the moment, am I? Oh, no, of course not. How silly of me. But I think Iris said she would make us breakfast this morning. So shall we go down to Mrs. Sholmes' suite? Yes. Iris makes the most delicious breakfast food. She does, doesn't she? And once our bellies are full, we can leave for court in fighting fit form. Let me see. What case is it today? Here we go again. We get to look around the room now. All the stuff we've left around. It's spring at last, and the weather is warmer now. But I love the smell of the fire and the steam rising from the kettle. Oh, would you like some tea, Naruhodo-san? Thank you, Susato-san, but I'm alright for now. With the green tea Susato-san makes me from time to time in Iris' unique herbal infusions, this place is paradise for a true tea lover. Green tea is such a wonderful accompaniment to British tea cakes, don't you think? Anything else to look at? The mop. So this is the tea set that Susato-san brought with her from Japan. Let's hope she hasn't noticed me slipping sugar and milk into my cup when she makes it. It's just so bitter. Tea is a drink to be enjoyed, Naruhodo-san. You really don't have to force yourself to drink it, you know. I don't like to see you screw up your face so. We've only been here in London for about 2 months, but my desk is starting to look a little messy already. You could tidy up once in a while. Susato-san, I always say, Making a mess is a small sacrifice to pay for being able to further your studies. And time spent tidying up is time you can't devote to the same cause. And time spent on ridiculous arguments is time that could be better spent on some simple housework. She wins, but I'm supposed to be the lawyer here. Shake. With the Daruma in the back. Ah, the Daruma doll I brought with me from home. Still have only one eye colored in. I said I'd color the other eye once I won my first court case here in Britain, but... But you have won, haven't you? Twice, in fact. Because I feel as though I'm still lacking as a lawyer. I tell you what, why don't you color the other eye in once you think I'm a proper, fully fledged lawyer? If you insist. Anything else to look at? This one. Ah, this must be the telegram. Let's see. Ah! No, you mustn't look at that. Not under any circumstances. Alright, I won't. I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san, but you can be very mischievous at times. Then put the telegram away if you don't want people looking at it. Not yet, huh? Okay. Fish tank. You were rather lucky to find that old aquarium left behind here. The prawns you put in there are doing rather well, and the anemones too. It's a wonderful invention, isn't it? The sea behind glass, inside your room. Another example of Great Britain's greatness. Having to clean it out and change the water isn't so great though, is it? Do you know, I've never seen inside your room there, Susato-san. I've never even peeped inside. I should think so too. A young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets, you know? Whatever you say, young maiden. Alright. I think that's everything. Please look at this. Please look at this. It means a great deal to me, you know? That you cherish this armband so, and wear it each time you appear in court. Well, it's very important to me. It's what shows that I'm a lawyer. And whenever I wear it, I feel as though it gives me strength. True Kazuma. I absolutely can't be without it, especially when I'm at a critical point in the trial. But just the other day, I noticed you wearing it when we went to visit that park. Sometimes I forget to take it off. Alright. So, what was it about? The telegram that was delivered this morning, I mean... Oh, a telegram. I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, but you're not going to get away with that. Well, I didn't think I would. Actually, don't give it a moment's thought. It's nothing. Nothing interesting. Boring, in fact. Ahem. It was just a boring old telegram. That's 3 times now that she's tried and failed to convince me it was nothing. I promise that I'll tell you about it at some point. Alright, I understand. I suppose Soseki-san will have arrived back in Japan by now, won't he? Yes, I should think so. He left immediately after that terrible ordeal. Which would mean he should have completed the voyage already, or be just a few days away. A fortnight ago we had a very long telegram from him, do you remember? Complaining of seasickness. But by and large, it seems the voyage has been going well. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? I was just wondering. What might have become of Soseki-san had he stayed in London, that's all. You mean, as regards Lord Van Zeeks, the Reaper? Yes, I can't help wondering if seasickness would have paled into insignificance in that case. What is it they say? That no one who stands in the dock can be saved from the Reaper, right? Like the way that nightmarish trial ended on the very day we arrived in London. Even 2 months on, the cause of that dreadful fire is still a mystery. Yes, but at least Soseki-san is safely out of the country now. Presumably that means... That the Curse of the Reaper can only take effect within the confines of the City of London, perhaps. Even if that's the case, it's little comfort. I have a terrible sense of foreboding. If the legend of the Reaper is to be believed, it would mean he wields the Sword of Justice himself. Come to think of it, I wonder what he's been up to these past 2 months. Surely, not wielding the sword against more acquitted defendants. No, I don't think so. Apparently, Lord Van Ziegler hasn't appeared in court once since our last encounter. Oh? Yes, since Oseki-san's trial. He's withdrawn from judicial service again, it seems. Really? Just like before, when he wasn't seen in court at all for several years. So it's just been me who has to face him in this recent spate of trials then. Just my luck. I wonder if luck doesn't come into it. Sorry, what was that? Oh, nothing. Never mind. What are you suspicious about? Right. Morning, Riddle. Morning, Susie. Good morning, Iris. Iris? What is it, Runo? What is that terrible noise? It sounds like a cat being strangled. Ah, yes. You noticed that, didn't you? Hurley isn't in the best form this morning, it seems. Hello. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Good morning. Well, good morning. To die, perhaps. Has something happened, Mr. Sholmes? You look miserable, and the way you were playing the violin before. My analytical mind is dead. Music is dead. The world is dead. Damn this blanche existence! That's all it is, my dear fellow. Nothing of consequence. I'm afraid I don't understand. Well, Iris, isn't it time we ate? Some dry toast and insipid coffee for me, if it's not too much trouble. Cat! Oh look, it's Wagahai. Wow, they really named him Wagahai. Wagahai wa neko de aru! I didn't expect that to come back in today's session, but here we are. Good morning, boy. Cute, cute cat. Cat, cat, cat. There must be some sort of tiny door for cats to use. But how did it get there? Well then, everyone, time for breakfast. Oh, wonderful. Let me help you, Iris. It would indeed be a fine day to die. I knew something looked different. Something's missing from Mr. Sholmes' desk. He's bored, I assume. Here, take a... Here, take a look at this. Mr. Sholmes, could I ask for your opinion about this? Do you all need to raise my languid hate at the promise of some mental exaltation? Yet in my morbid depression, I am confronted with the most mundane of problems. Oh. My mind finds greater stimulation in the unforgiving monotony of the floor than in your miserable offering. Always glad to help. Oh, my head weighs heavy on my shoulders. You know what he needs? He needs his nicotine patches. Or his pipe, I guess. You seem to be very unhappy this morning, Mr. Sholmes. What's happened? used to be the case. That in my hands. This violin sung like the dawn chorus. Its melodic tones would make flowers bloom. It would. But now, the muses are unamused with me. The god of music has thrown me over. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Jones? For hours I have bowled, for days even. Through the night I have endeavored, to no avail. That sound and tone is lost. That brilliant, clear, unwavering tone. Gone forever! No more recitals of unbridled emotion. Well, you haven't been practicing much lately, have you, Hurley? Don't worry, I'm sure he'll come back to you in time. Heed my words, Mr. Naruhodo. The goddesses of the arts are fickle. One day they bestow genius on a man. The next, they unmercifully withdraw it. Oh, dear. Why is this happening to me? If they take the turn I have for the violin from me, what is left for pity's sake? What is left? Deduction perhaps? Isn't that what you're known for? Mr. Sholmes, I don't like to pry, but... your desk looks rather empty today. Ah, well done, Mr. Sato. Your observational skills do you credit. Oh no, Mr. Sholmes. They pale into insignificance when compared to yours. You'd struggle not to notice, wouldn't you? You mean Hurley's great analytics? Wow, that word. Always be chewing up. Analytiscope? That's at Windy Banks now. Sorry, it's at a Windy Bank? No, Windy Banks. The pawnbrokery. Pawn? What? You mean you pawned an enormous machine of yours? It has some considerable value, you see. Quite undeservingly. But isn't it a very important machine for your work? I do wish you had consulted us if your situation had become so desperate. I should gladly have passed what little income I have to you. Dear Madame, things are far from desperate. But the pawnbroker has your wonderful machine. How can it be anything but desperate? Making use of a pawnbroker is quite ordinary here in London, I assure you. It is. It doesn't sound ordinary at all. It would seem that neither of you fully understand how pawnbroking works. Oh, what's to understand exactly? What did you mean when you said we didn't fully understand how pawnbroking works? To the people of London, pawnbrokeries are akin to banks. Banks? On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and trappings to their pawnbroker of choice. With the money they receive in return, they are able to trade happily through the week. And then on Saturdays, they go to recover their things using the money they've earned. I had no idea. This has been a fascinating lesson for us. Everyone does it, you see, especially people in inner London. And should they have money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn, should the need arise. Oh, how ingenious. So whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at Windy Banks, you see. The pawnbrokery can be thought of as an extremely secure vault. Who would have thought that even pawnbrokers would depend here in Great Britain? Of course, you have to watch Hurley with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Hurley? What does it matter? The world is dead to me now. Yeah, okay, what did he pawn off? Well, we've got to look at more things, I guess. Or we can just talk to Iris. We can talk to Iris about Buckeye. Does the nuts-amazed cat seem to have settled into his new home then? Oh yes, and I've become very attached to little Waggy. It would appear his previous owner is completely forgotten to him. Cats are unfeeling creatures. Their mews as empty as the hearts of the muses. If Mr. Natsume had no intention of taking Waggy back to Japan, I wonder why he kept him in the first place. I expect he would have taken him if he could, but pets are strictly forbidden aboard steamships in our experience. And for good reason. Terrible things can happen if the rules of passage are not obeyed. Well, I don't mind, because Waggy is adorable. Yes, he really is. Oh yes, what about the door? I don't remember seeing that tiny thing in the main door before. Where did that come from? Oh, you noticed. You are observant, Truno. Look, I use this. It's my latest invention. What is that? I call it the Cat Flapper-mat. Gosh, a machine for making doors just for cats. That's right. It can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. But you can do it in any door at all, no matter what it's made of. It's very powerful, you see. Wouldn't it have been quicker just to make the cat flap rather than making a machine to make the cat flap? Well, yes, maybe. But now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like. Oh, I think it's wonderful. You must make one for us in the door of our office upstairs, Iris. She really knows how to come up with unconventional inventions, this girl. Oh, what was that? Wagahai? Did Wagahai break something that Sholmes really want? Is that why he's sad? That might be it. What was that? Oh no! Wagahai is tangled up in your violin! I think he thinks it's a toy. No! What's he doing to it? Oh dear. This is Sholmes' precious violin. Why should I care? What? I shouldn't be surprised. If the cat is a more accomplished musician than I now. Mr. Sholmes really is in poor spirits, isn't he? Well, anyway, I'll put it back where it lives, shall I, Hurley? Out of the cat's reach, if possible. Maybe we should assess the damage. Wagahai, where are you? I gotta click on you. Nope, Wagahai is nowhere to be seen. So this is the violin, is it? It's a Stradivarius. One of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian luthier, Antonio Stradivari. Oh, I see. It doesn't really look like anything special to me. I happened upon it covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings. How honorable of you. And until today, it has been my faithful companion in every great Paganini-inspired performance I have made. I ask you, is there reason to live in a world devoid of music, to tolerate this blanched existence? No. There is none. Mr. Sholmes. What, dear madam, what? My thoughts are preoccupied with fancies of release from this dull routine. Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think? Hmm? What do you mean, Miss Susato? Oh, Susie's right. Yes, the tone of the wood is completely different. And that's not all. I'm sure there was no crack here before. Wait, it's not even the right size, is it? What's this? I'm terribly sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all. Then what? I believe. It's an entirely different instrument, called a viola. What? What? And then he died. The end. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, are you alright? You're right. You are quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what? Pray, is this piece of stringed flotsam? Not your faithful performing partner, then. Ah, I see what must have happened. You do, Iris. This is just a simple mix-up. It sounds like Iris might be able to tell us exactly what's happened if you ask her. Oh, he's sad because he was playing the wrong instrument. He didn't notice. This whole time. So much for the great detective. What do you mean by a mix-up, Iris? Well, you see, this violin... Sorry, this viola, I mean... was at Windybanks until last week. At the pawnbroker's. Not Mr. Sholmes' beloved musical partner. There is a proverb from the East, with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel. Yes, indeed. So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in the hope that it would experience personal growth. Oh, what a wonderful idea! Last week I pawned my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument. But it would appear Mr. Windybank mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow timbre of this tiny well, I saw tiny in there. This piece of timber. No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact that it just had strings. Ah, a fine state of affairs this is. And why I always say, Mr. Naruhodo, never trust a pawnbroker. They will try to fiddle you every time. But earlier you told us that you could think of a pawnbrokery as an extremely secure vault. Come, Mr. Naruhodo, dilly-dallying will get you nowhere. Sorry? Crunching your toast with that vacant aspect, freshing your copy so obtusely. Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency with which we are faced? We must visit Mr. Windybank's brokery at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Sholmes? Precisely, Mr. Sato. Without a moment's delay. But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs. My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect, to fresh your egg ever more obtusely. Alright, say no more. Let's go then. Don't worry, Runo, I'd be happy to heat it up for you again later. Oh, thank you, Iris. As it happens, I am rather curious to see what a British pawnbroker looks like. Off we go then. Ooh. Let's go out onto Baker Street. This is 22-1B. It's already been 2 months since we started taking lodgings here above Mr. Sholmes' office. I still can't quite believe it. I never expected things to turn out like this. Oh, I know. To actually be sharing accommodation with the world's greatest detective. If I ever find myself before a court of law now, I will have not one regret. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd be happy to defend you, of course. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, though. We own one another Maya Fey. Alright, that one's cool. Look at all the different things in the window of the shop. Ah, that's Windybanks, the pawnbrokery. It looks much smarter than the pawnbrokers in Japan, doesn't it? Yes, you're right. I find pawn shops at home rather inapproachable, personally. It reminds me of tearfully parting with my favorite fountain pen. I felt so miserable. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Miss Naruhodo. Alright. In we go. So this is a British pawnbrokery. Oh my, there are all sorts of tools and contraptions in here that I've never laid eyes upon before. Ah, Susato-san. And that spark of wonder in your eyes. You can't beat the scour of the shelves, can't you? I get the impression you enjoy places like this. Oh yes, I don't know why, but seeing such a lot of things I don't understand is a real thrill for me. My dear fellows, let us not forget why we are here. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. We are calling on matters of business, not pleasure. And clearly Mr. Sholmes means business too, judging from the spark of fury in his eyes. Ah, Mr. Sholmes, sir. Welcome back. Did you hear that brazen welcome? Well, yes, we are potential customers after all. We are disgruntled customers, Mr. Naruhodo, and it's time to inform Mr. Windback of our ire. Come, the fight is afoot. Naturally, you will recall this, which I retrieved from you some days ago. Yes. This second-rate fiddle was not my favorite instrument, Mr. Windybank. The color of the wood is different. It has holes in it. It's not even the same size. A wonderful summary of our observations, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so very sorry, sir. How utterly unforgivable of me. An inexcusable mistake for a pawnbroker. There is only one way to make amends. I shall have to take my own life! I don't think that will be necessary, do you? Persona! If I may just say one thing before I pop off. I am Dao. Thou art me. Persona. Tree reload. That game just came out. Yes? It was you, sir, Mr. Sholmes, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe. Sorry? As I recall, I entered the storeroom to fetch your violin when I heard, "Ah, here it is." You did. And when I turned to controvert you, you had taken the viola and left, sir. However, there can be no doubt that the blame lies firmly at my own door for allowing you to leave. So I shall not grumble or grouse any longer. May this guilt die with me. No. Stop, my dear fellow. The fault is mine. Whew. It would appear that the fight is over. I do humbly apologize, Mr. Windybank. Evidently my questionable disposition precipitated this tragedy. Well, you wouldn't be Mr. Herlock Sholmes without that questionable disposition now, would you? I do believe you may be right, sir. It's either laugh or cry, I suppose. You are, it must be said, one of my more challenging customers. I need to remind you of the peculiar collection of items you brought through my door in the past. Oh? Peculiar items? In the extreme, ma'am. For example, the unpublished manuscript of an eponymous work, the novels of Herlock Sholmes or some such. Oh my! A new fully-fledged novel! And unpublished! A story I have yet to read, you mean? Ah! Forgive me! Wait, before you die, you must tell me more! This man. He's just ready to summon Persona at all times. I must know more. Tell me everything. Wow, Susato-san is really fired up now. Is there really an unpublished story under this very roof? Well, one day the gentleman here brought in an old metal chest, you see. I should like to entrust this to your care for a while, Mr. Windybank. For a chest like that, 1 shilling, sir. Not a farthing more. It houses something of very great value indeed. The latest manuscript, recounting the adventures of one Mr. Herlock Sholmes. I beg your pardon, a manuscript? You wish to deposit a manuscript? Indeed I do, for I am confident it will be quite safe here. And there was that. As such, Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom. Mr. Sholmes, is that really true? Do I sense that someone doesn't want to talk about this? I continue to pay your fee, do I not? Then kindly continue to store my belongings securely. Of course, sir. Of course. You're safe and sound with me, I assure you. On my life. This is all very strange. I wonder, could I ask you something? Ah, a gentleman from the east, I see. Yes, that sable suit. I suppose I could offer you 6 pence for it. Without wishing to offend, the tone is somewhat dull. Is it sorry? Aha! But for your splendid attire, man, 5 guineas, no less. The colors are exquisite, the design exotic. Eastern artistry at its finest, may I say. Oh my, 5 guineas, you say? How interesting. Why do I feel as though I've suffered some sort of defeat here? Actually, I was hoping to ask you about your business. I've heard it said that pawnbrokers are used rather like banks here in London. Yes, sir, indeed. Many of my customers utilize the establishment as you described. I appraise their items and offer them a proportionate loan and 2 months of secure storage. If, in that time, they repay the original sum to me plus the agreed interest, your items are happily returned. But what happens if they don't pay you the money? Then the items are offered for sale in my shop, as you can see on the shelves behind me. So you never sell items before the 2 months have passed then? That's right, ma'am, that's right. Which means some considerable responsibility rests on my shoulders. Should a customer's precious belongings be lost, the only recompense for me is to end it all! The very idea, Mr. Winterbank, is an absurdity. One should never talk of one's demise so casually. Says the man who was telling us it was all a good day to die only this morning. And let us not forget that I have already helped you take measures to ensure such a tragedy never occurs. Oh, what sort of measures? I engineered a simple device which Mr. Winterbank has installed here in his shop. I call it the Red-Handed Recorder. Is that not so, Mr. Winterbank? What was that deep sigh about? So, like what? Is it like a camera? What on earth is a red-handed recorder? Use your eyes, my dear fellow. There are 2 just below the ceiling. I can see what appears to be a camera attached to some sort of timing device. Very astute. It is indeed a camera, furnished with some 100 pieces of celluloid film. And every 30 minutes precisely, the camera automatically records the appearance of the shop. Whoa! An anachronistic security camera! Who's betting that's gonna be a piece of evidence? It's the 1800s, but damned if we're not gonna get away with having a security camera at some point. Here, I have an example I can show you. Ah yes, a print from the camera set to record the activity at the shop counter. I developed a special type of film so sensitive it produces a crystal clear image even in darkness. Really? That's extraordinary. Yes, you can clearly see the counter and the door behind it, look. So you see, were someone to enter the premises with ill intent, his identity would be summarily exposed. But did you not say that the photographic prints were taken at 30-minute intervals? Indeed, as you say, my dear madam. Now what if the incident were to occur in between times? One could only say that would be a cruel twist of fate. I must confess your devices have been giving me some cause for distress of late. I beg your pardon, Mr. Winterbank. Surely they are anything but distressing. Reassuring is the word. What's the cost of the film, sir? You most graciously placed not 1, but 2 cameras in my shop after all. Which means I must pay for nigh on 100 utterly useless prints every single day. I'm afraid the cost of the film will break me before I'm very much older. Nevertheless, a small price to pay to ensure the safety of my preferred pawnbrokery, no? My dear fellows, we verge on an age where safety and security come at a price. Oh, heaven help us! Now then, Mr. Sholmes, allow me to return your precious violin. Ah, the very thing. Thank you, Mr. Winterbank. Perhaps this might mark the end of the peculiar items to try to pop, Because if anything were to happen to one of them... This would be the only answer. I really think you ought to stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt. Fear not. Sorry. I've only loaded a single bullet, so no one but myself could possibly be harmed. That's not really what I meant. Good day to you, then, Mr. Windybank. It's been a pleasure as always, Mr. Sholmes. What a curious cast of characters. So, Mr. Naruhodo. Now we can explore at last. I guess. Just gonna look around then. He doesn't have anything else to say. Scales of Justice! There seems to be a little door hidden behind that curtain there. That leads to the storage room, where Mr. Windybank keeps articles that are currently in pawn. Ah, I see. There's nothing of particular interest inside. I certainly wouldn't recommend any larcenous activity. Recommend it or not, it's not something I tend to do. There is but one key, and Mr. Windybank keeps it in his pocket at all times. Before he sleeps, he places it into a small pot, which he slides under his pillow. How on earth do you know about that, Mr. Sholmes? I am a detective, sir. It is my business to know what others do not. I am frequently assailed by information that I neither care for nor wish to retain. Mr. Sholmes, you are a wonder. And the prime suspect of this pawnbrokery is ever burgled. That's fair. Look at that enormous ledger open on the counter there. Mr. Windybank is, if nothing else, very particular about recording the items he accepts. He'd have to be, otherwise he'd get himself into all sorts of trouble. Which might explain the thing that catches my eye more than the ledger. This revolver here. Do not entertain even a single thought of pilfering an article herein, my dear fellow. I assure you, Mr. Windybank would not hesitate to draw that weapon with a speed belying his portly size. Oh, you don't mean he'd blow his brains out? Indeed, in recompense for his blunder. Oh my. But in any case, of course he would never do such a thing. How could you even suggest it? Yeah, we totally thought that was gonna go in a different direction. Huh? Look at this! How could this lovely big shiny box be? That, my dear madame, is a music box. Surely you have such things in your own country. Oh my. Yes, but I've certainly never seen one so large before. Shall we listen a while? Ah, what a sublime sound. It's like the music of angels. I've never heard anything like that before in my life. This particular specimen is of the larger variety, commonly found in public houses and restaurants. There is a metal disc inside on which the notes will be played or recorded. Simply by replacing the disc with another, any music you care to imagine can be played. My goodness, what a simply delightful machine. Indeed. Though their popularity has waned recently with the development of the gramophone, of course. Science and technology advance at such an overwhelming pace. We have clocks, we have hats. We have fine china. We have books. What an assortment of things there are on these shelves here. Crockery, footwear, clocks, and watches. Almost anything you care to imagine. Those are forfeited items offered for sale by the pawnbroker. What does that really mean, though? When you pawn, or colloquially pop, an item, the broker loans you money against its worth. He stores the item for an agreed period of time, after which the loan must be repaid. If not, he is free to display it in his shop for sale, at a price of his choosing. Oh yes, now you've explained it, I'm noticing little price tags on everything. Of course, simply by paying the agreed interest and loan, one can extend the period of safekeeping. So you may pawn that black garb of yours without fear, my dear fellow. My treasured university uniform. Never, it embodies my student spirit. Horse. Look at this. Whatever could it be used for? I have no idea. Ah. There's a small catch just here, look. We're going to open it, aren't we? Oh my, that's amazing! It has some sort of spring-loaded mechanism, which we'll never manage to put back to the way it was before. What are you two doing? What? Us? Nothing. No, nothing at all. Whatever this device is, it seems to have a pair of little windows to look through. I feel as though I've seen something rather similar to this elsewhere. Now, what do you suppose this rather enormous machine does? It seems to have two little windows for looking through. Allow me to enlighten you, my dear fellows. What you are looking at is a stereoscope. A stereoscope? Fascinating. It is aptly named, I assure you. Look through the eyepieces and see for yourself. Oh, I should be delighted to. Excuse me a moment while I just have a look. Just before you do, there is something I should point out. My dear fellows, in order to see the image properly, stereoscopically of course, as it were, you will need to be cross-eyed. However, if that is beyond you, it is of little consequence today. Alright then, I'm going to try it. Stereoscope, huh? Ah! Mr. Naruhodo, you must see. At once. Oh, alright then. So I need to be cross-eyed, like I'm trying to look at my own nose. What the? I don't believe it. Question. Chat, was this in stereoscopic 3D back on the 3DS? It has to be, right? They probably told you to turn on the stereoscopic 3D effect instead of going cross-eyed back on the original version, I presume. And this would probably actually be like an actual 3D image, which unfortunately we don't have because this is a flat screen, but you know, it was. Knew it. 3DS gimmicks. It's just a photographic print, but it seems like you could reach out and touch it. Yes, the sense of depth is startling, is it not? Stereoscopes are one of London's many fads. They are often found in little stalls in the park. People queue for hours to see them. Why? Why are people meddling with such black magic? It is no magic, my dear madame. It is, well, far too complicated to explain at present. We shall save this lesson for another day. The power of the 3DS. Oh. That's not a calendar you could easily miss, is it? 15th April, today's date. Yes, that's not for sale, I must point out. It is an Eastern-style page-day calendar. Every night at midnight, I tear off the front page to review the following day's date. The perfect calendar for a tearaway fellow such as yourself, Mr. Windybank. And who was it who walked out of here with the wrong violin before? Well, when the agreed storage period is passed without repayment, articles are forfeited, you see. So I have to keep a close eye on the date. It's something of a pawnbroker's obsession, you might say. Oh yes, I can see you're very dedicated to your job. What? Only tuppence for it. That ain't fair and you know it. The article is barely worth a penny, miss. I cannot offer more. Sounds like there's an argument brewing over by the counter. Come on, that can't be right. I haven't even had a proper butcher's at it. I've seen all I need to see, young girl. Oh. Wait, don't we know? I'm sure I recognize her. Oh, yes. That's the young lady. From Mr. McGilder's trial 2 months ago. Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She has a chance earns across among large crowds relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. Gordon Bennett, you lot! Hello, Mr. Lestrade. I hope you've been well. Eh? Won't you remember me then, do ya? Well, I remember being completely surrounded by smoke, that's for sure. So, what are you doing in here? Down and out like the rest of us. Nothing to eat? Want to pop that black weasel? Sorry, coat, have you? What is it about this black uniform that makes everyone comment on it? Oh, good day. Unless I'm much mistaken. You would be the young pickpocket who stole our experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ah! Mr. Sholmes. So, you have something of value to pawn, do you? Allow me to see the article and I shall negotiate with Mr. Winterbank on your behalf. Oh, the other one! I don't need no help from some stuck-up D. Get out of my business. Go on, I'll make trouble for you. As you wish, Mr. Strut. I will happily remove myself from your presence. He's really done it. He's gone. Oh, sorry, but as I said, there really is no room for negotiation here. What is the thing he has in his hand? Some kind of metal disc. And you! Go on! Leave me alone! Oh, Mr. Strahd, just pretend we aren't here. You shan't be offended in the slightest. Chisato-san can really stand her ground when she wants to. Whatever. Alright. Alright, chat. Something just came up, so I'm gonna have to call it at that. Well, we're just about reaching the hour mark, so I think that's probably a good... That's fine anyway. Hope you guys don't mind. We got started a decent... we got started a decent amount, but... Next, in the next session, you will find out what Mr. Strahd is trying to pawn off. Surely not the smoke grenade, right? Not the grenade launcher? Wait, no, I'm dumb. I just saw it. The phonograph. Never mind. Wow. Talk about short-term memory loss. Yeah, alright. We'll find out what that disc is in the next session. Alright, chat. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around soon. Peace.